Deserts. Some of the harshest, deadliest environments in the world. Always right on the border of the tropics, desert habitats can be found worldwide. And although it might all look like the same boring sand and rock at a first glance, not all deserts are equal. And it's only in the western hemisphere of the world that you'll find rattlesnakes. These animals are some of the most iconic and feared snakes in the US. But out of all of the things in the desert that can kill you, are rattlesnakes actually the deadliest thing you can encounter? Hey guys, I'm Zachary Gray, and on this adventure, I'll be joined by my friends Eli and Luke as we're heading out from my swampy home state of Louisiana into 3 unique ecosystems across Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, straight through the heart of rattlesnake country, to discover just how deadly America's deserts can be. We're starting off in the Chihuahuan Desert region of West Texas, where it's said that some of the largest western diamondback rattlesnakes in the country live. This desert has some incredible terrain, but you'll notice we aren't exactly into cactus country just yet. These deserts are mostly comprised of grasslands, open scrub, and these gorgeous white sand lowlands. While not as harsh as the Sonoran or Mojave deserts out west, it's still hot and dry during the summer months. But come nightfall, they'll be on the move. Here we go, little Atrox. Hey, bud. Hey. So right now he's just coiling up. He got really feisty when I tried to move him off the road. He's well heated up, getting onto this asphalt to get a little bit of warmth. Now he's just settling, and if I were to go touch him, he would turn and tag me.
So this is just a small juvenile. They get much larger than this, up to 5 feet in length. They have that classic diamondback pattern.
Atrox are a very common species out here. Western diamondbacks, very common species. We're gonna go ahead, get this guy off the road, see what else we can find, but that's a good start to the night. Got our first little West Texas rattlesnake.
Awesome.
This one here is just a baby. Not exactly what we're looking for, but in this region, these rattlesnakes grow to be some of the largest in the Southwest. This is due to the Chihuahuan Desert getting a good bit more rain than the other deserts, so there's a lot more rodents this time of year for the diamondbacks to eat. It's also great habitat for stacks of other desert species. Night snake. Well, here we go, guys. This is a very common colubrid out here. This is a night snake. Very cute little guy. This is actually a large one. They're little lizard eaters. Sometimes they'll eat little invertebrates. They're a pretty tiny, harmless snake, called night snakes because they're very nocturnal, and if you look, they actually have vertical pupils. Pit vipers do have vertical pupils, but so do lots of non-venomous species like night snakes. Now they can look like a little rattlesnake sometimes, like a little pygmy, like a little Massasauga or a little prairie rattlesnake, so a lot of people do kill these animals. But they're perfectly harmless, really cool little common desert species. Not what we're looking for, but a great addition to the night. We're gonna go ahead and put this guy back, keep looking for more, but that's awesome. Little Chihuahuan night snake. This desert is well known for its rock cuts and mountainous landscapes, which I'd reckon has been a lot more lethal to humans in the past than rattlesnakes, and can be even more dangerous for anyone foolish enough to challenge it unprepared. Here we go, guys. That's a big old trans-pecos rat snake. You can see how well they get all up and along these cracks and crevices. I'm a good 50 feet up on this, and he's about 65. These rocky crags make great habitat for wildlife.
There's a bat. Hey, buddy, you good? Oh, he yelled at me.
But they also pose a serious threat to me. One slip up while scaling this ledge, and I plummet 50 feet. So close, and yet so far. There's no safe way to get that animal. I think we're gonna call it quits. That snake was just a bit out of reach, but on my way down, I ran into another creepy desert native. And despite appearances, he's perfectly harmless. Boy, here we go, guys. That is a vinegaroon. This is quite a large one, actually, and this is a fairly plentiful species here in the Chihuahuan Desert. Now, it may look like a super menacing bug, but they're perfectly harmless. And even those 2 little things at the front, see those pincher-like appendages? They're more like little clubs. They don't actually grasp things with them. They more whack their prey with them and eat them. This tail here is a good sign that you're looking at a vinegaroon and not a tailless whip scorpion. There's actually a very closely related species of tailless whip scorpion in this area, and they look like this but smaller and with a flat back with no tail.
Now they're called vinegaroons because they actually spray vinegar. And that's one of their primary defense systems against large mammals or even some lizards whenever they're smaller. Now we like to think of these guys as desert dwellers, but in actuality, most of our vinegaroons throughout the world are going to be living in the tropics. So the desert species are actually a little bit of an exception. And if you go further east of here into the sandhills, actually into the Florida sandhills, you end up with Florida vinegaroons, which is crazy, which is an exception within an exception with this species. Really good spotting by Luke there, spotting him up on the rock cut. We're gonna go ahead, let this guy go. Keep looking for more, but that is awesome. Very nice vinegaroon.
This habitat is a treasure trove for dangerous terrain and wildlife.
You gonna fight me?
But it's also become just as treacherous for the native wildlife, including our target snake.
Oh man, this is an absolute shame. Very fresh, so I gotta be careful. Western diamondback. Now this is what they mean when they say they get bigger in Texas. That's an actual literal statement when it comes to the western diamondback. Absolute shame, got clobbered. And here's what you'll notice. The rattle is cut off. Now whether that was by the person who intentionally hit this snake to cut off the rattle, or a passerby came and cut the rattle off the dead snake, I'm not 100% sure. But this is one of the reasons that I came here to West Texas, was to see just how massive these snakes get. And this is him right here, dead. It's an absolute shame. Western diamondbacks rarely get to full size. They can reach lengths of upwards of 5 feet. This one, about 4. I'm gonna stand up real quick so you can see. I have to be very careful. This is a freshly dead snake. The head is crushed, so there's probably not too much to worry about there, but you can still have nerves active in a snake like this, so you gotta be careful. Look at this. That's a big diamondback. This is one of the largest rattlesnakes in the Southwest when they have the resources to get this big. And it's such a shame because we're losing them mostly to road mortality.
What a shame. It just goes to show that no matter how big and bad of an animal you are, car always wins. Come sunrise, and we're heading further west, up into the Chihuahuan mountain range, which divides the Chihuahuan Desert from the Sonoran. This is where you first start getting into the Sky Islands. There's a lot more water up here, which means a lot more plant life. And another deadly hazard to humans, fire.
Now what you're looking at behind me is absolute ecological devastation. All of this montane pine forest got burnt to a crisp, and it's coming back as a scrubland. Now it's very interesting because back home, fire is a good thing. Fire cleans up the understory, it makes it better for the keystone species, gopher tortoises, longleaf pines, and all the other flowering species. But up here in the montane, it's so slow growing that fire set it back a long ways.
Wildfires are attributed to over 10 times the number of human fatalities that rattlesnakes cause. And it's no wonder. While both can be unpredictable and often quite scary, rattlesnakes do their best to avoid human conflict. Up in these mountains, the rare twin-spotted rattlesnake is seldom seen. In fact, there's never even been a recorded bite from this species. So, despite my best efforts to find one, there's a lot more dangerous things in these mountains to worry about.
So we're pretty high up now, I think about maybe 7,000 feet. That's my best guess, I honestly have no idea. And the people lied, there are no snakes up here. It's all big snake propaganda to get you to hike up mountains. There's nothing up here, man.
Come nighttime, and it's back down into the lowlands to look for snakes. But we're not just looking for any old rattlesnake. We're looking for the most venomous rattlesnake in the world. And with how many other rattlesnake species we're running into, like this gorgeous black-tailed rattlesnake, we were certain that a Mojave would pop up early into the night.
Have a look at this little guy. Almost got whacked on the road, little baby Mojave rattlesnake. Now in this desert in particular, Mojaves are a dime a dozen. These are one of the most common species out here, and this is the most venomous rattlesnake in the world. Now this is only a little one, but he would have enough venom to send me to the hospital, potentially even kill me. And it just goes to show how toxic their venom is, because this is a tiny snake and he doesn't have a lot of venom. When these guys get big, they can have a multitude of different colors. They can look similar to a western diamondback, they can be mint green, or they can be a light tan coloration. So they can look a good bit different from your diamondbacks. Really cute little guy, a great addition. We're gonna keep going and looking for more. Beautiful baby Mojave. See ya, bud.
It's time for the desert of all deserts, the Sonoran. When you think of a desert, you probably think of this one. Cacti as far as the eye can see, breathtaking monsoon rains, and most dangerous of all, blazing heat. Hundreds of people a year perish to this desert alone due to heat-related deaths. You'd think with all the fuss about rattlesnakes that they'd be at least a tenth of that, but they're not even close. Despite the unbelievable conditions, the wildlife here is insane. And come nighttime, this desert crawls with some of the most iconic and hazardous wildlife in North America. But what I'm after is this guy right here. Finally, a sizable rattlesnake.
Western diamondback. Ooh, look at you. Now these snakes can get a lot bigger than this, but this is a decent sized one for this part of Arizona. They don't tend to get as big here as they do over in Texas. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey. Now Western diamondbacks are very different from the rattlesnakes that I'm used to dealing with along the Gulf Coast. That would be the Eastern diamondback rattlesnake, the world's largest rattlesnake species. The Western diamondback I would consider to be one of the most successful rattlesnake species, living across a multitude of different habitats, from barrier islands to arid grasslands all the way into deserts and montane habitats. These snakes are incredibly adaptable, and you even see that with some of the western species, and one of my favorites being the red diamondback rattlesnake. Now these snakes are a dime a dozen out here, but it doesn't make them any less special, and they're certainly one of my favorite rattlesnakes to see. In fact, because they're so common, they're a very important species, both ecologically, but also for scientific observation. This is the snake that you see performing combat, eating things. You see all these different rattlesnake behaviors that we don't get to observe in other rarer species. We get to see it with these guys because we see them so often. We get to see denning. Ooh, you're going. Now she's got a little rattle. It looks like her rattle's been broken off at some point. She's got a little small rattle. And one of the ways that I can tell that this isn't a Mojave, it's got those 50-50 markings on the tail of black and white, whereas the Mojave is going to have those much stronger whites. You're also going to get a lot of variation in your Mojaves. Western diamondbacks have a little bit more of a typical look, and they have that little mask on the face. But I tell you what, just because they're common doesn't make them any less gnarly. You saw as I was moving the snake, she's fast, she's going, she is willing to strike, and this is about as close as I want to get to this snake. She is going at it, so I think we're going to go ahead, let her get on her way. Absolutely stunning snake, Western diamondback, absolute gem. See you, baby.
If I've learned anything on this adventure, it's not that rattlesnakes aren't dangerous. Far from it. They're some of the gnarliest, most rugged animals in the world. But that's just it. They're a part of one of the harshest ecosystems. An environment that, if given the chance, can take just about anyone out. Rattlesnakes don't want to mess with people, and we should do our best to stay out of their way. They're just out here trying to survive in a deadly world. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing, and check out the time that we got up close with all of America's deadliest spiders. That's all for this one, and we will see you guys next time.